Bonjour and welcome to French Action. This is French grammar tips to be successful in your CSEC exams, DELF or other French exams. Here are my tips with some exercises and answers at the end of the first part. The second part has a few tips for the high achievers. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! Tip number 1 is about the use of the tu or vous. Is it formal or informal? You need to decide this from the outset. So this is a little exercise for you. You are writing to your pen pal you have not met yet. Do you use tu or vous? The answers will be right at the end of the first part of the video. But think about it. And you know, I have already made a video on this. Tu or vous, when to use tu or vous in French with Jenny at your fingertips, which you can use if you're not sure. Tip number 2 is about using the right tense. So for example, if you use today, you know it's going to be present tense. La semaine dernière, which means last week, is going to be the past tense. And if you say la semaine prochaine, it will be the future tense because la semaine prochaine means next week. So think about using the right tense each time, and not only the right tense, but the right form of the right tense. Videos are already there on French Action, on the tenses in French, Master French Tenses with Jenny at your fingertips. And there's also another video which might be useful for those who are not sure about the past tense, where I have made ready-made sentences for you in the past tense. Tip number 3 is about the use of the adjective in the right form. What I mean by the right form is the agreement. You know that a noun can be singular or plural, masculine or feminine, and depending on the noun you're going to be using, your adjective will have to agree with the noun. So that's what I mean by the right form. But in addition to the agreement, we have to think about where to place this adjective. Is it before or after? Well, there's a video which says it all. It tells you everything about where you need to place those adjectives. And that is on French Action, how to place adjectives in French. Tip number 4 is about using the right article. And I'm going to ask you to translate the following sentence into French. I like Spanish, but I prefer French. So please do that and you will get the answer at the end of part 1. And if you are not sure about the use of articles in French, you can use or you can watch Articles in French with Jenny on French Action. Tip number 5 is about the use of the right word order. You know that we cannot translate from English literally into French. So I'm going to ask you to translate into French the following: Pierre's birthday, that is one, and the second one is the green dress. If you're not sure about the right word order, remember there's a video on it already, which is called French Word Order for French Exams with Jenny at your fingertips. And that is, of course, on French Action. Tip number 6 is about the use of the right preposition. Can you use à, de, pour, chez, au, en? Let's find out with this exercise where you will have to use one of those prepositions. So, je vais, Marie qui habite, Canada, l'aider, trouver un travail, France, car elle a besoin, beaucoup, sous. The answer will be at the end of the first part of the video. Tip number 7 is about the use of the right object pronouns. You know that we need object pronouns to save the repetitions of nouns. Please translate into French. Oliver phones Steve. He invites him to his party. Well, if you're not sure about the use of the object pronouns, you can watch the video called Mastering Object Pronouns in French, Direct versus Indirect, with Jenny at your fingertips, and that is obviously on French Action. Tip number 8 is about the use of the right accent on the E. You know that there are 3 types of accents, but for this, I'm just going to ask you to add the accents, the acute and grave accents in the sentence below where necessary. Okay, so when you see an E, obviously it won't be all the E's, but whichever ones you think should have an accent, please put it. So this is the sentence, and if you're not sure about the use of the accents on the E, you can watch the video French Accent on the E with Jenny at your fingertips on French Action. Tip number 9 is about translating the ing correctly. For example, in this sentence, he's leaving without saying a word. We have ing twice. How would you translate this? Please translate this sentence into French, and the answer will be at the end of the first part of this video. If you are not sure about using the ing in French, well, there's a video that I made a while ago, which is called How to Translate ing in French. A quick guide with Jenny at your fingertips on French Action. I couldn't have 10 tips without mentioning punctuation. Very often I find that students don't put, for example, a full stop at the end of a sentence, and punctuation is very important. So I would advise you to watch the video which I made a while ago, which is called French Punctuation for Beginners with Jenny at your fingertips, of course on French Action. So these were my 10 tips, and now I'm coming to the answers, réponses, to all the little exercises that I put in this video. Okay, you ready for them? So you remember the first exercise? You are writing to your pen pal you've not met yet. Do you use tu or vous? Now, this video is in particular for youngsters, okay, probably under 18. So if you are under 18 and you haven't met your pen pal, you know, between youngsters, we use tu to each other, okay? So that's how it goes. So for this particular question, I would say tu. Now for the other exercise, which was exercise for the tip number 4, you had to translate I like Spanish but I prefer French. The point here is that I wanted to really stress the fact that even though we say I like Spanish, you need to write I like the Spanish but I prefer the French. In other words, do not forget your articles. Then we had tip number 5, which was about the right word order. Pierre's birthday, you have to remember that it's birthday, the birthday of Pierre. So that is going to be l'anniversaire de Pierre. So be careful with that. And the other thing you had to translate was the green dress, to remind you that colors are always placed after the noun they refer to. Exercise 6 was about the use of prepositions, so I put them for you. Je vais chez Marie, chez, when you're talking about a place, okay, somebody's place. Qui habite au Canada, you need to remember that countries have O or en, but O for masculine countries like Canada. Pour l'aider, in order to, pour. L'aider à, because aider is always followed by à plus a verb. L'aider à trouver un travail en France. En France, because France is a feminine country, so we're going to use en. Car elle a besoin de, because besoin, avoir besoin is always followed by de. Avoir besoin de, beaucoup de again, because it's a lot of, beaucoup de sous. Sous meaning money. Okay? So for exercise 7, it was about the use of object pronouns. Oliver phone Steve, we're going to say Oliver téléphone à Steve. And I had to start with that sentence so that you can see who is the him. He invites him to his party. Il l'invite à sa fête. Inviter is a direct verb, therefore you're going to use a direct object pronoun. Number 8 was about the use of accents. So as you can see, there's none except the last one at crêpe, because we are talking about acute and grave accents. So here's the answer. Sa mère amène Stéphane au collège et va près de l'établissement pour manger des crêpes. Finally, he's leaving without saying a word. Remember that we are talking about the ing, how we translate the ing into French. Well, it all depends on where it is. Il part sans dire un mot. Il part is he's leaving, which is the present tense of partir. And saying is basically what you say after without, which is sans. And after sans, you have to remember that is the infinitive form. So we're not going to conjugate dire. Donc, it gives you il part sans dire un mot. Well, I hope you enjoyed that first part, and now I'm going to move to the second part, which is really for those who feels that they can do a little bit more, who are high achievers, or maybe those who have a higher level of French. So you can try to see if the other tips are any good to you. For high achievers. So to get a grade 1, you need to be able to make complex sentences. Just making simple sentences correctly is not going to give you a grade 1. And so try to think of making sentences a little bit more complex, a little bit more, you need to be a bit more adventurous. And I show you how to do it in a video which is called How to Write Complex Sentences in French. So you can try that video if you're not sure about it. And also another thing is using idioms. There's quite a few videos on idioms. I can recommend this one, but there's others. Try to see how many idioms you can use. Well, I'm not saying you have to use just idioms, but you need to show if you can use at least 3 idioms in a piece of work, it would be brilliant. One way of making sentences complex is using the subjunctive. So you don't have to use a subjunctive for CSEC. You need to be able to recognize it, but if you are good enough and can actually use it, I would advise you to do so. And there's a video with a recap on the French subjunctive. If you're not quite sure how to use the subjunctive, there's about 5 videos. Each video tells you about a particular use. So go through them, and then in the end you will have your recap. And the last one, I would say, if you can use onomatopoeia in French, especially if you have to create a piece, if you have to write a story, for example, that will be really, really good. So I have made a video on that. Have a look at it and see if there's anything you could be using for your next story. I hope you enjoyed those tips. If you like the video, please share it, like it, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Au revoir!